Hello, hello, hello. Hello there. Welcome to another video. Today we'll be once again flying the NX Cub. Lovely little aircraft. We're on the island of Papua in Indonesia, west side of the island of Papua. We're at Bugalaga Airstrip. Now, Bugalaga Airstrip is a handcrafted little airstrip in MSFS 2024. Looks very, very lovely. Now, for some reason, when I asked to be spawned into the parking, it has put us right in the middle of all this bush. That is kind of weird, but as you can see, here is the airstrip with some lovely details and very nice handcrafted buildings all around. This here is Bugalaga Airstrip, a very important little airstrip for the local community here in the region, because there are no roads and other means of access to this area. So they rely on the airstrip to bring in supplies. So supplies are brought in almost exclusively via air. However, I believe they usually fly like Twin Otters or DH6 or something like that into this particular airstrip. I'm pretty sure about that. But today we'll be flying the NX Cub, which is not a bad choice to fly to in a bush trip such as this one. So that is Bugalaga Airstrip, where we'll be taking off from, handcrafted in MSFS 2024. And we're going to be flying on towards Sinak Airport, or WABS. Okay, that is what we're doing for today. So let's jump into the aircraft as such. I've already removed the covers and chocks and pitot cover tubes and things like that on the walk around mode. So we can jump into the aircraft, get it up started from cold and dark. All right, now this area is very interesting. Obviously, you're going to see that it's very beautiful. And it doesn't have an iCow. It's known by its LID WX53. Alrighty, now let's get started here. But oh, look at that. We got plans showing through our floorboards here. How interesting. Anyway, without further delay, let's get this started up. So, master switch there. Let's turn on the fuel pump. Avionics master can come on. We'll leave that on as well. Fuel mixture to rich. We've got the fuel selector in the right place. RPM up. Throttle cracked open. Anything else left to do here? No, sir. Let's go ahead and start our engine. There we go. We have got engine started up and alternator running, and everything is running perfect. If that's alternator at all, I don't even know. Got the oil temperatures rising here, waiting for the initialization to complete itself. Brilliant. Very nice. You can go ahead and drop the flaps as well. Let me just crack open the throttle just a little bit there. There we go. Should help us. There we go. Okay, waiting for our initialization to finish here. There it is. Flaps here. Let's put it down to take off a position. There we go. Flaps are down. Brilliant. Look at that. We would be mowing the bushes here with our propeller. We shouldn't be parked here, but nonetheless, this is where MSFS in all its wisdom has decided it shall spawn us into. The only parking available in Bugalaga, by the way. Okay. Under 5 minutes, we're pretty much ready to taxi and get out of here. But before we do, this time around, let's see what we have available in the GPS here, right? So I did select this from the menu, and as you can tell, it's given us a straight line towards WABS or Sinak Airport, which is a regional airport that we'll be flying into. Again, another Very important airport for the regional communities in Papua, Indonesia. This area is very rural, by the way. So rural that it only pretty much accessible by air only. So, without further delay, since we have this already displayed, I thought I had to send the route to the avionics via the tablet by pressing here. Didn't need to do that either. It already showed up. If it didn't show up, what we would have done is just go ahead and configure something from here. But we don't need to do that today. That's brilliant. Excellent. Excellent. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead. We'll taxi and we will take off without further delay. Okay? We go ahead and release the parking brake. And we are rolling. Rolling slightly. I don't want to crash by accident by traveling through fast through the bushes, but it seems like I need to crack open the throttle to give us a little bit more of a movement here. There we go. It's much better. Much better. There we go. Oh, very large plant in our way there. Shall kind of dodge it. There are also rocks on the way, as you can see. There's a bunch of rocks on the way, so I don't wanna hit into those. There they are on either side. Look at that. Okay. Let's go ahead and taxi ourselves down the slope. Brilliant. I feel like we should have been parked somewhere here. Why on earth did it park us so up there? I don't know. There it is. Ahead of us is the lovely Bugalaga airstrip. Okay. Let's go ahead. Full throttle. Ready to get ourselves out of here, and we're out. Okay. We are out. RPM, lower that. There we go. Bugalaga airstrip just left behind there. Very beautiful. What a lovely, lovely place to fly this is. Ooh, we're supposed to be turning the other way. My bad. We should be turning the other way. Let's turn to the right. And I should have probably configured the autopilot as well here. Not a big deal. There we go. 6,000. Let's make that... how about 8,000 feet? Yeah, there we go. 8,000 feet on that. Lovely. Looking brilliant. We can turn on our autopilot if we like, but let's hand fly it for a bit. Alright, let's have a look at some of the views. There's airstrip we took off from, Bugalaga, right at the tip of the tail. Beautiful. Now I am a little worried about this aircraft's climb performance because this is very high altitude here. Lovely area this. And we should be able to notice a few clearings, and those are villages apparently. Now, let's go inside and command an autopilot climb. Right. But before we do, let's take a look around this lovely area. This aircraft is seeming to be quite stable at the moment. Don't really need to do much. Bugalaga in the distance once again. Lovely. We are on live weather, right? I confirm that. Yes, we are. Completely live. Brilliant. Brilliant. Drifting off there to the side, which is we pretty much just need to follow the valley, so that is a good thing. Let's turn this way. Lovely. We'll engage the autopilot in just a little bit, and we shall take a better look at some of the views. But look at that. It's a fun little aircraft to fly. I must admit, I used to stay away from this thing because I thought it would be no fun to fly, you know. I genuinely thought this wouldn't be a fun aircraft to fly, and I stayed away from it, but it kind of brings back the joy in just simple flying. I really like that. I really, really enjoy that. Beautiful stuff. Are we at sunset or sunrise? Now, because in this region, you would ideally want to fly during the morning. Unfortunately, we're in the evening here, but ideally would fly during the mornings, because in the afternoon we've got afternoon thermals in this region. So in order to get a smoother ride, we would do this in the morning, and as you can tell, our ride is a little bumpy today. That's because this region does have thermals in the afternoon, which we're experiencing at the moment. I guess it makes for a more eventful flight of sort. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on our autopilot here. Let's turn on nav mode. Let us, in terms of altitude, let us go towards 8,500 feet. Let's ask for VS. And let us increase our VS slightly there. Our throttle should be increased. RPM is looking very good. Our speed is a little low, and I don't like that. However, I think we can push the RPM up a little bit more there. There we go. Throttle should be cracked slightly to the lower. However, we need a bit more of speed on our side, don't we? So let's increase that RPM slightly. There we go. We really do need some speed here. Okay. Hopefully we won't stall here, but there we go. Very nice. Very bumpy. Very, very bumpy. We'll now have a look at some of the views along as we cruise. And once we reach 8,000 feet, we'll have a look at some of the views. And after that, I shall join you guys at top of descent as usual. Very, very nice. Look at that. Low-lying clouds. It's a serious feature. In this area, you got plenty of clouds that just roll into the valley. And that can make for some interesting conditions for flying. As you can tell in the distance, those clouds are pretty much inside the valleys. So, anyway. There's a clearing right down there, which I suspect might be some sort of dwelling or a village. Either case, our speed is dropping a little too low. That's why I'm not going out to check out the views just yet. I want to make sure that we're flying a little stable before I go anywhere. Plus, I got to make sure we clear those mountains, which at the moment, we don't seem like we will be able to clear. Oh my goodness, we're flying so low. We are flying low and very slow. This is too slow. I don't think we can sustain this. Just gonna push the throttle back up. Okay. RPM. Come on. Give us some speed here. We need some speed. We're pushing this aircraft to its limit. We really are. So I can't go to the views just yet. And I have to make sure that we're actually okay. Look at how lovely that looks though. It's such a nice looking aircraft, isn't it? I've really grown to like it for some reason. I used to hate it. I really did. Now I really, really like it. Okay. Okay, we've got some speed, but our altitude is nowhere near enough for this. I have an idea. Let's go to heading mode and let's turn our aircraft to the right here. So we can slip over these low areas and skirt around the mountain, hopefully. Yeah, just like that. There we go. That's much better. We'll skirt around here so we don't have to worry about this. Brilliant. Let's skirt around like this, and that is what we should do. And we've gained some speed, although not much, but just about enough to stop us from stalling. Just to be safe, let me turn us a little bit more off to the right here. We're seriously deviating from our flight plan, but still. Just to make sure that we actually clear the mountain. Oh my goodness, we're not actually going to clear that. Okay, I'm gonna take manual control here and push the nose up slightly. There we go. All right. Can allow it to dip back. Go back to nav mode. And then turn ourselves back into the GPS. And we can put the nav mode on standby there as well. Hopefully now we'll be able to... Yeah, ahead of us there isn't much in the way of... Oh no, maybe there is. Let's flatten that out so we can pass this hill as well. I suspected that we'll have to do this throughout this entire flight because of the altitude of the surrounding terrain. So here we are, another high hill that we're passing extremely close by. We're at the limits of the performance of this aircraft pretty much. We can't push it any harder. Especially accounting for some... Ooh, look at that. Margin of error and safety there. We're just about at 85 knots. Not too good. Okay, let's now turn back in towards the GPS track. And let's try that. Let's see. Again, are we gonna fall victim to high grounds, or... You know what, we'll just fly parallel for the time being, because it seems like if we turn too much to the left, it's just high ground everywhere. So let's just stay on this track relatively. Yeah, that's perfect. Yep, that's perfect. Let's do that for the time being. So we'll fly parallel to our GPS track at the moment. That is a better idea. There we go. Okay, brilliant. Let's now go ahead and have a look at some of the views. Let's do that right away. And once we're done with that, if nothing else happens on the flight, I shall join you as we get closer towards Sinak Airport. Okay, we are heading for the side of a mountain here along the way, so I'm just gonna quickly turn ourselves to a left. Tiny little deviation here. Autopilot is still engaged, but I'm forcing the aircraft to move towards our left slightly and climb slightly to avoid crashing into the mountain. Okay, just a minor adjustment there. Look at that. Oof. We still need to continue asking it to do that. Let's continue turning the aircraft. A slight little hiccup along the way, but quick fix, nothing too serious. We've ran into some high terrain on our right. That's pretty much it. Not a problem. Not a problem. Okay. That's a serious amount. Let's switch to heading here. Let's ask the aircraft to go to the left. Why isn't it turning to the left? Hello? Okay, there we go. We've asked it to turn to the left now in order to avoid some terrain. So as you can see, we are halfway through at the moment. We ran into that little bit of a snag, but I think we're okay. Left behind some very high terrain right there. There we go. Okay, we should be all right. And we're running into clouds, which means we won't even be able to tell. Luckily, we have this display here that lets us know what's happening in terms of terrain. So we are not strictly VFR. I mean, we are VFR, but we don't have to fly VFR. Okay, let's now turn our heading back towards the parallel that we are following along the GPS track. There we go. Seems like we're okay here. Feel as though we should climb out to 9,000 feet just to be safe. So let's try climbing up to 9,000 feet here. Oh my gosh, look at that. Got some speed, very little speed to bleed off, and we're about to enter a patch of very low visibility with the clouds, but I must say it looks beautiful, doesn't it? Absolutely lovely stuff. Nonetheless, let's see here what is going on. Climbing up very slowly. Let's try and increase that rate of climb very little, because we don't have much speed to play with at this point. We really don't. Oh, look at that. Some sort of clearing over there. Let's head on outside and have a look. Look at this. That looks straight out of a movie. Look at that. That is crazy. So beautiful. Anyway, while I get mesmerized by this, 65 knots, my goodness. We need to flatten out that climb. We need to reduce our climb down to 4,000. 300 feet per minute in the hopes of increasing speed, and it is working very slightly there. 9,000 feet coming up, and I hope that's enough to clear whatever obstacle is ahead of us for the rest of this journey. For now, we seem to be okay. And I'm gonna leave it at this particular track for the time being. Maybe try and turn ourselves slightly towards our left, very slightly. And we'll leave it there. Okay, and we'll continue this journey. We're at 9,000 feet now, pretty much. We'll continue this journey. Let's see how it goes, eh? We can see double rainbows, and we've almost hit into that tree there. I'm pulling up to avoid it. There we go, avoided it. But we are now in the rain, and I think we're gonna hit into terrain if we're not careful now. So I'm applying a little bit more of input here on the yoke to try and pull it back. But look at that. Now that is a lovely day out in the bush. Well, not really, but you get my point. That is a fun flying time. That is a fun flying. Look at that. We're basically skimming at this point. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun, but I hope I don't crash this thing. Let's pull up a little bit more because we are too close for comfort. Way too close for comfort, but you know, there isn't much we can do now. We've kind of committed to this altitude. Let's see, we're at 9,000 feet, by the way, and we're having trouble. 9,100 feet around, and we're having trouble. Look at that. My goodness. So enjoyable. That is so much fun. Look at this. Goodness me, this is an interesting flight. Wow. Breathtaking stuff. Breathtaking stuff. I like this. Anyway, let's continue on our journey. See if any more interesting scenarios develop. Otherwise, we continue as usual. Just coming in for a quick update right here. We're out of the rain pretty much. Just a little bit of water still on our windscreen. There it is. We are out of the rain. Okay, we're out of that little patch of weather there behind us. Look at that. We've cleared it. Very localized shower there that we just passed through, and we are back on our way as if nothing ever happened. That is so cool. All right, back on our way, and we are 60% done, almost there. Won't be long. We are almost there, nearing Sinak. Just couldn't help but show this absolutely beautiful scenery that we are flying over at the moment. Jaw-droppingly stunning stuff. Just wanted to have a quick look at the view. So we're nearly there. Won't be long now, and we shall come in for what should be quite a steep approach into Sinak Airport. Alright, so looking forward to that. Apart from that, pretty much on track now. We are currently 17 nautical miles away from Sinak. We've once again ran into some high terrain that we need to skirt around. Apart from that, pretty much on track. 17 to 15 nautical miles away from Sinak at this point. Beautiful valley to our right. Lovely. You can see the sun there about to dip underneath the horizon for us, or rather underneath the mountains behind us. So we're about to lose sunlight any minute now. We still do have about 12 or 10 nautical miles. There we go, 11 nautical miles towards Sinak Airport. We still have some high terrain to negotiate, so let's see how this turns out, shall we? Still looking lovely though. Beautiful sceneries as usual. But let's see how it turns out. Plenty of high terrain ahead. Okay. Just 5 nautical miles. We're just 5 nautical miles away from Sinak Airport, and we've seemingly landed ourselves into a pickle. Because we have apparently entered a little valley that I can't climb out of. And we're at 9,000 feet. I don't understand what's going on here. There's no way to climb out of this. I'm afraid I'm about to crash. Yep, we're about to crash. There's no way to climb out of this. And it ends here. We've crashed. We've crashed, ladies and gentlemen, we've crashed. Oh, that sucks. It really does suck. We have no visibility. RPM is through the roof. Oh my gosh. We've just hit something right there. We have no speed. I don't know what's going on right now. Oh, and another crash. Okay, great. Okay, so that is fantastic. Okay, let's see. Can we make it back on track? Let us see. Let's see if we can make it back on track. That is terrible. That is terrible, isn't it? That is just absolutely horrible. But let's see if we can make... How are we... This is 12,000 feet. It doesn't make any sense to me. What am I doing wrong here? Something... I must be doing something wrong here, right? I mean... Let's try and hold that altitude for a second. Let us try and hold our heading for a second. Okay. Oof. Did not see that happening. Did not see that happening on today's flight. But there we go. right at when we're near our destination. We're literally 2.5 nautical miles away from our destination, and we run into such a pickle. Unbelievable. Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. So I made a mistake. I should have climbed up to around 12,000 or 11,000 feet at least to even have a hope of it. Okay, I believe our airstrip is underneath us somewhere. It has to be. It has to be underneath us somewhere. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to turn to our left here. We're going to try and come in using this valley and try and land into WABS, right? Let's try that. That is a horrible oversight on my part, and we've got runway here, so which means we can try and take a turn and then come in. Yeah, we should have. Oh, there it is. There's the airstrip. We can see it. Excellent. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sinak Airport. We have crashed twice. Terrible. That is my mistake. I thought 9,000 feet, 9,500 feet was going to be enough. First time flying the route. Should have done my research. Should have climbed up to around 12,000 to make this route successfully. But anyway, that's what makes the flying more interesting anyway. So let's see. We're going to land on this runway here. As a matter of fact, we don't even need all this. We can come in and land whenever we're ready. Pretty much. Because if we look to our left here, oh, there's clouds. So many clouds. My goodness, this is great. It's fantastic. Okay, let's do this. Let us take manual control and let's try and land. Yeah, let's do that. So let me go ahead and disengage autopilot here. AP off. There we go. And let me try and take manual control, which I have. Let's go ahead and turn our aircraft around a little aggressively, and for the first time during the flight we're hitting 110 knots in airspeed. That's good. Okay, we're descending quite rapidly as well. We're banking extremely wildly to our left. Whoever is sitting behind us right now is praying, pretty much. Okay, let's push that throttle down to idle as we dip. I mean, we're definitely far too high to attempt this landing, I believe. So let's try and circle around once more. Or can we make this landing? I have a feeling we can make this landing. Should I try? Should I try from this altitude to try and make this landing? Here's an interesting thought. There's a reason why I call myself Fly the Noob. Because I do very, very crazy stuff. Let's see. Can we side slip this thing? Can we reduce our speed enough to be able to do this? Apparently we can. So can we drop our altitude? You know what? Let's make this interesting. Let's see if we can actually... I don't think we can land this from this altitude. But nonetheless, it's not going to stop me from trying, right? Let's try. Can we land the particular aircraft from this altitude? Woof. Okay, okay. Flaps down. There we go. Now let's try. 80 knots, that's a little too high for me. Side slipping or attempting to side slip. Oh my goodness, this is high speed. This is okay, there we go. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful stuff right there. Brilliant. Brilliant. That I feel like has redeemed my 2 crashes for the video. That is nice. That is great. Excellent. What a beautiful, beautiful landing right there. into Sinak Airport, ladies and gentlemen. Let's turn our little cub around. Now, where are the parkings at this particular airport? I have no idea where they are. If there are any parkings in the first place, because I don't see any. I think they might be at the very end. Yes, they are. So let's go ahead and park our aircraft, and once we do, clean up the aircraft, flaps up. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it into Sinak Airport. It's a very interesting landing. Let's go ahead and park this lovely little cub into a parking spot somewhere that we can find. And once we do that, we can go ahead and take a look at our landing replay with Skydolly. So let's see. I'm taxiing on the runway at this point quite briskly, but we're taxiing nonetheless. Looking for a little parking spot somewhere here. No, not here. We can go here. Yep, we can go there. Let's just turn in here. There we go. Beautiful. Turn into this little patch here. And we will park right in front of this particular gentleman right here. Okay, there we go. We'll leave it right here. Beautiful. Let's now go ahead and have a look at our landing replay using Skydolly. See how that went. Here we go. Let's have a look at our first landing replay. Look at how bumpy that is. All right, very smooth touchdown despite the extreme approach. We'll have a look at it from an overhead sort of angle so we can appreciate that crazy approach a little more. So let's go ahead and have a look at that overhead approach now. Here we are, taking a look at that approach. This is me trying to bleed off our speed here. There it is. There it is. Gifting our passenger with a lifelong fear of flying. Here it goes. Did we nick the bush? No, we didn't. Lovely. Little off to the right there of the center line. Actually a lot off to the right of the center line, but still. Very nice little landing. We'll take a look at the landing replay from one more view. And then we'll go ahead and shut down our aircraft. We can call it a day. So, one last view of the landing replay. So let's go ahead and look at that. There we are. Last view. Look at how beautiful the scenery around us is. Gorgeous stuff. There we go. The madman's approach into Sinak Airport. Okay. If it was a little on the center line, would have had a very, very good landing, but nonetheless a smooth touchdown. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let us now just go ahead and shut down our aircraft. And yeah, let's go ahead and shut this aircraft down because we've left it running pretty much. Okay, this is how we left our aircraft here. Let us jump inside really quickly. There we go. We can turn our engine off right away as such, just like that. Fuel mixture lean. We can turn off fuel pumps and avionics and all that stuff. Fuel selector can come to off right there. RPM down, throttle down, and master switch here off. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, come on, how do you open this thing? There we go. Can't open this. Oh, we can't open this. Okay. There we are. Brilliant. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have completed our flight. Yeah, there were 2 crashes. Unfortunately, I did not plan for the elevation properly. Should have gone at 11,000 or 12,000 feet rather than choosing 9,000 for our cruising altitude. We got into a pickle really fast, and although we've been navigating it well in the earlier phases of the flight, we were not able to do that towards the end. Nonetheless, we've managed to end it with a very nice, interesting landing, have a little bit of fun. So that is brilliant. Okay. So there we are in the drone mode. This is Sinak Airport. Look at that lovely, lovely place. Oh, there's a beacon in the distance there. Some sort of beacon in the distance here. Oh, lights. Very nice. Some sign of human civilization right there. Very, very lovely. Look at that. My goodness. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed today's eventful flight. I was expecting it to be a very, very non-eventful, but turned out quite the opposite. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I shall see you soon in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.